welcome to In the Know, a program that helps you to stay informed. And joining me today for this program, as in programs past, you will remember the Sheriff of Norfolk County. That would be Patrick McDermott. He has come back, and we certainly welcome his visit. So, Pat, thanks for joining us again.
Time flies when we're having fun. It seems like I was here yesterday.
Absolutely.
But these monthly conversations have been great. You know.
They're great. They have been picked up by other access centers throughout the county. So our message, your message, is getting across.
Yeah, we've heard back from a lot of different communities, and it's great to know that this outlet is available to get us out and get the information out to the folks throughout the Norfolk County community. So it's
Absolutely.
been great. I appreciate it.
We will start actually with a recognition. In just a moment, we are going to present you with a trophy, which will be on screen. You might be able to see it on your monitor.
Trophy? Let's see it.
Let's see. It will pop there, I believe, in a second. But basically,
there it is. All right.
Is it there? Okay.
I see it on the
there it is.
Well,
all right.
So.
And the reason it's there is because you're going to tell me about the American Correctional Association recognition.
Absolutely. So we, one of the first things that I did when I became sheriff is I talked about, well, leading up to me getting elected sheriff, I talked about doing stem to stern reviews of our programs, our facilities, our staffing, what was going on. And you can do those internal audits with the state auditor and the Department of Corrections, a few things. But to me, the standard bearer of excellence is when you bring in a third-party auditor that really has no affiliation with me politically, professionally. They're just looking out for what is best in the corrections industry. And so the standard bearer for it is the American Correction Association. And it's a national association that does accreditate facilities throughout the country. And so when I first was sworn in as sheriff, I met with our assistant superintendent, and I said, when can we pursue this audit? Are we audit ready? Can we get to the level of excellence that I expect in this agency? Let's figure out where we are, because that's what an audit will do. It'll find out where you are, and if there's problems that have to be fixed, you fix them. So we had 3 auditors who came into our facility back in June for 3 days. They were looking at all of our documentation that we have on our policies, our procedures. They interviewed well over 60 staff members, 60 some odd inmates. Took a thorough tour of the facility, from our programming to our security staff to our health to our food and nutrition programs, our exterior perimeter cleanliness. It was really a stem to stern review. And when we finished the audit on the exit interview, the lead auditor, who was from Louisiana, who I never get sick of that southern accent, and she was great. And she actually said in the room full of all my staff, we had about almost 200 people in our roll call room, and she said, "Sheriff, I must say to you, if I may say to you, you run one of the premier institutes in the United States of America." And I was like, wow, that really meant something to me, because it was a testament to the staff about the hard work and the dedication they have to make sure that the Norfolk County Correctional Facility is excellent, and we pursue excellence. And ironically enough, we got 2 perfect scores in this audit, and it technically looks at these what's known as mandatory standards, which is a whole list of things that you have to meet in order to get accredited. That's the baseline. You got to get 100% on that, otherwise they walk out the door. And then there's these non-mandatories that they'd like you to pursue these things, and we were able to score perfect on both angles. And that resulted in us, which obviously a great celebration, but it wasn't over until we actually defended the audit at a recent ceremony down in Nashville, where the annual ACA convention was held, and we appeared before an audit board, and we were required to answer questions, and they scrutinized the work of the auditors that came in, and they upheld it. So we were able to get that perfect score, and the accreditation came in. So we're really proud of it. I'm really proud of the staff, and it's just something that the people in Norfolk County need to know, that this agency it pursues excellence, and when you present a perfect score to the staff, it's all great to pat ourselves on the back, but then you say, what's next? Where can we pursue further? And that's when I first came up with my saying to the staff is like, pursuing excellence is like pursuing the sunset. It's a beautiful vision, but you'll never quite get there. You'll always be pursuing it. So that's the kind of standards that I want to set. That's the tone I want to set for the facility, for the staff, and really for the community as well. That this is an office that truly wants to do great things, and I'm really proud of where we're going.
Striving for excellence, that's kind of the topic of today's discussion. That's not the only recognition. Congratulations on that recognition, but that's not the only recognition that you've received.
No, once we kind of got on the audit trail, we wanted to make sure that we hit all the different segments. So we did also go through 3 other audits. One was by the Department of Corrections, which was a simpler audit. Came in, they did our inspection, passed with flying colors from the Department of Corrections here in Massachusetts. But then we also have to pass what's known as a PREA audit, which is a federal standard that it's the Prison Rape Elimination Act, and it basically focuses on the seriousness of sexual assaults within prisons. And it's fairly problematic, across the country. So hence why this PREA Act came into fruition. So we got audited on that, and there was a couple of days of, once again, policy reviews, how we respond to sexual assault allegations, both inmate on inmate, staff on inmate. All that stuff was analyzed. Any reports that had come in over the course of the last couple of years, how we responded, how our investigations, how timely they were. And our auditors, once again, gave us a 100% clear on that audit. So we're very proud of that. And once again, my assistant superintendent is our PREA contact person. So she's worked tirelessly on it for quite some time now. So it's a testament to her being on top. And then finally, we just, which was another great honor to get through an audit review by the National Commission on Correctional Health Care. And our healthcare deputy superintendent, Tara Flynn, headed that up along with our mental health coordinator, Ann Collins. Did a fantastic job making sure that the review of our facility from a health perspective, we're meeting all those standards. And we're making sure that the care and custody of, as of today's count, about 347 inmates, that care and custody from a healthcare perspective is being met and met consistently on a daily basis. So we're very proud of our audit that's come through. There's nothing that they didn't turn over. But once again, we're pursuing excellence. That's set the bar, and it's set the bar pretty high. But we're gonna push it higher.
We're going to again stick with the striving for excellence and carry that through the entire show. And I'd like to break it down into some categories within the sheriff's office. Let's start with that topic and staff.
So staff, I challenge all my staff when I first met with them, as I meet with them daily, about pursuing further education, further certifications to advance their own career. I've made it official that my command staff, it's going to be a requirement for my command staff to all be trained in higher certifications that are offered by many agencies throughout the country. The American Corrections Association, the National Sheriff's Association, we've got the FBI program. There's a whole host of agencies that offer advanced training. The American Jail Association gives employees the opportunity to pursue a certificate in jail administration, certified jail management. So I'm asking my command staff that it's going to be a requirement if you're going to be in the command, shift commander or higher up captains. Certainly all my assistant deputy superintendents will have to pursue that, because I believe that knowledge is going to be able to come back and make our facility that much better. And for our corrections officers, our deputy sheriffs, and our non-security team, I've said the same thing. If you find something that is of interest to you, that will be of value to the facility. If our CFO finds a great course in fiscal management, go for it. Let's get that certification. So we've set a tone in the agency to make sure that people are constantly pursuing value in their education so that they can bring that back to the agency. So they've received it well. We have a lot of requests coming in from our staff for different programs, and we're trying to keep up with the allowing of those things. So it's really exciting to watch the staff pursue excellence.
And let's turn now to the facility.
Yeah, the facility, was built back in the 90s, so it's aging a little bit. But I got to give commendation to the staff once again that, they've really stayed on top of making sure that the facility itself is kept up to par. Always reinvesting in, the technology that we use at the facility. Back in the old days, you actually had a key to every jail, cell, and key to the main entry. Everything now is computer operated, so we've constantly had to upgrade and invest in our technology so that all the facility is safe. Certainly can be locked down when it needs to be, but people can come and go in a safe manner. We also have, I forget the last count how many cameras we have throughout the facility, just to make for care and custody, for the safety of the staff and the inmates. Our camera technology has been upgraded. We have high-def cameras that can zoom in on helps out with our investigations immensely. So the facility itself is coming along. We're investing in some green technology to hopefully, we've been looking to pursue some electric vehicles at some point in the future. Probably next fiscal cycle, we're going to invest in that. I'm partnering up with a local business person in the city of Quincy, Wendy Simmons, who owns Prism Energy, and we're taking a full evaluation of how we utilize our energy at the facility and whether or not we can conserve on certain times during the day, and obviously cut down on our costs as well as our use of energy. So, and one of the newest initiatives we're putting forward now is looking at green roofs. They're usually used in urban settings, but I kind of put it on my assistant deputy superintendent in charge of the facilities. We were up on the roof last Friday and took it towards a huge footprint. But you can actually build, gardens. You can build vegetable gardens. You can build pathways, and it's a big, initiative. But it's something that we would utilize for the staff as well as for the inmates. We have a program there for inmates in terms of landscaping and horticulture, to make sure that they know how to grow things. So this is an investment in our facility, but it's an investment in our staff and our inmates as well.
What about solar?
We do have solar arrays already. So we have quite a few solar arrays up on the roof now. Those are inspected, I think, annually, so they're all fully functioning. That helped immensely when it came to our energy costs. But once again, when you're pursuing excellence, you've got to set the bar higher. You're constantly got to be innovative and figuring new things to do for the facility as well as for the environment.
Well, you're asking your staff to strive for that excellence. Mm-hmm. You're also turning the camera to yourself and asking the sheriff to strive for excellence as well.
Yeah, I've always wanted to practice what I preach, and when I was a register of probate prior to being sheriff for 18 years, I immediately started pursuing different educational opportunities there, and culminated with a 2-year judicial administration certificate from Michigan State University. So I'm used to I'm a lifetime learner. If I'm not reading a book or listening to a new podcast or hearing something new or reading a magazine that will show me different things or different ways to do, I'll pursue an educational certificate. So I've required my staff to do it. I'm requiring me to do it. So I've been fortunate that I've been selected as one of 15 sheriffs nationally to participate in an inaugural program. It's going to be here in Massachusetts. We're hosting it. And so there's 15 of sheriffs coming in from all over the country, and it's going to specifically set a baseline for how sheriffs can be leaders of their institution, how best they can manage a corrections facility, how best to manage judicial involved individuals. And we're going to come up with that curriculum. And I'm proud to be in that inaugural class that hopefully will sprout and be sent forth throughout the country as a premier educational opportunity for sheriffs across the country. One of the other things that I've pursued as well, I've been recently accepted into what's known as the FBI LEADA Trilogy Program. And LEADA stands for Law Enforcement Executive Development Association. And the FBI is certainly a partner affiliate of that. And they train law enforcement professionals on being excellent in what they do. And this trilogy program is what it is. It's 3 parts. It starts with command curriculum. Then it leads to supervisory curriculum. and then executive curriculum. And it's designed, the LEADER course isn't necessarily just for sheriffs or chiefs of police. It actually, those other areas can, start with a corrections officer or a local police officer that wants to get that first level of command staff. So I want to go through all three. If I'm asking my staff to do it, then it's good enough for me. So I'm looking forward to do that. My first session is going to be the end of November, and then I'll have two more as we enter 2022. And we are actually going to be hosting the final one here in Massachusetts as well, sometime in May. So hopefully I'll graduate by May and have my degree, my trilogy degree from the FBI. So it's intimidating because it's like, having to go back to school. But, if it's good enough for my kids, good enough for my staff, good enough for the sheriff.
Great attitude. Certainly agree. And the last component, certainly not least, inmates.
Yeah, so I challenge, I've had the opportunity to now that I've been in the office now for 9 months, and I do fairly frequently go out into our housing units and talk with our inmates. I certainly encourage them to participate in the programs that we have to offer. And you try to do it in a pep way. As much as I'm the sheriff that's in charge of the facility, and I have to, show that kind of command of the facility. But these are men who have fallen on hard times. They've done wrongs. They've made bad choices. And I look at it as like sometimes you have to be a coach to these guys. And I've told them, there's some guys that don't have a high school education there. And there's a reason why they're pursuing a criminal life, because they don't have the education background. Maybe they came from a broken home. They weren't given the opportunity. So we're going to make sure that they change their mindset. Is basically the hard thing. Change your mindset that you too, you might have fallen on bad times, but you have to turn the corner. What do you want to do? What do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to hang out with down the road? And so it starts with education. So we make sure that they have access to their high school GED. We start them on a path towards getting college credits. There's some courses that we're offering. We have a partnership with Quincy College, which is great. Partnership with Massasoit College to get certificate programs in place. One of the things that we're hopefully going to get off the ground sooner than later is our HVAC training, which is going to be a certificate program through Massasoit, which teaches inmates on heating, air conditioning, ventilation work. And that's going to be great. They can then pursue a certificate in that and then hopefully secure a job post-incarceration. So that mindset change is what is essential. That's the first thing that has to happen, because we can offer all kinds of courses for people, but if they're not buying into what we're selling, then it's not going to be successful. So we're going to be working on mindset changes to say that these guys, look, get your mind in place, get it focused on that sunset, pursue that excellence, and we'll be there to provide you the opportunities, whether it's financial literacy, whether it's culinary arts training, huge opportunity in that industry, in the hospitality industry. They need workers. They need people. And we're pursuing right now employers that are willing to hire formerly incarcerated people. And we're getting great response. And basically my job is to certify that these men are prepared to go out into the workforce. So I want to make sure that they're pursuing their excellence, and they're going to be excellently trained with an excellent mindset to hopefully not reoffend. And that's the ultimate goal of the Sheriff's Office, is to cut down on recidivism.
I'm going to look now at a release from your office, and I'll put my glasses on
there you
to
go.
Make sure I read every word correctly. Norfolk County Sheriff Patrick McDermott named to Body Camera Task Force. Talk about that.
Yeah, this is another thing, once again, pursuing excellence in technology. And, last year with all the unrest that we had, the COVID pandemic, but we also had, civil unrest with some issues post George Floyd. And, it really put a microscope, tragically, on law enforcement. I think law enforcement got a little bit of a bad rap because of the horrific actions of a few bad players in that circumstance, and then others. But one of the things that came out of police reform last year with the legislature was to analyze and come up with some processes, procedures relative to the use of body cam on law enforcement and corrections officers. So the task force was supposed to have been assembled a while ago, but because of COVID and situations, it hadn't been assembled yet. So I'm one of 25 people who are serving on this commission that's evaluating the use of body cameras on law enforcement staff. So it's made up of, I'm representing the Massachusetts Sheriff's Association. There's chiefs of police on there. There's members of the legislature. There's members of the public that are on this commission. And we're charged with evaluating the use of body cams from soup to nuts in terms of procuring them, when an officer is required to turn a body camera on, what is publicly accessible, because that's always kind of, I know that the press is always looking for those body cam footage, because the public needs to know, and I get that, but we're coming up with some standards as to what can be released, when it couldn't be released relative to an investigation. So our report's going to be due in July of next year, 2022. So I'm looking forward. I think I'm serving on the subcommittee on technology. So that's, I'll be investigating the technology piece, and I'm already getting emails from various companies from around the country. So somehow they picked up on who was on the commission, because they're already soliciting, hey, we'd love to come out and demonstrate our technology for you. So I'm excited about that. It's an honor to be appointed to that. I recognize my colleagues in law enforcement who want to be part of this debate. And I think, but law enforcement is very welcoming to have this scrutiny, because oftentimes it's the body cameras that not only set the scene of what happened, but can oftentimes uphold an officer's response to a particular incident. Whereas in the past it was one person's word against another. The cameras don't lie. So I think most law enforcement professionals want to see the use of body cams consistently, and that's the key about this commission. Is we want to make sure it's consistent throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, that each department, we have 351 cities and towns, that we want to make sure that not one town is doing one thing and another town next door is doing something different. This will provide some consistency for the departments throughout the Commonwealth.
I'd like to also mention that there is a new addition to the staff at the Sheriff's Office. Catherine Hubley has joined. Yeah,
I've known Kathy for a number of years, and we certainly, she's been involved in Quincy politics for a number of years, and she's a great professional. And so we're honored that Kathy has accepted a position with us in our External Affairs office. So she's been tirelessly working since day one, getting out into the community, working with us with our seniors and our youth programs, and developing. We're going to ask Kathy, basically her background, working with kids and certainly being on the school committee in Quincy. We want to focus on those at-risk populations, and one of them is our juvenile population. So we're reconstituting a committee that is going to talk about juvenile crime, juvenile delinquency, issues relative to juveniles using illegal drugs, and so we're coming back to that committee again. And actually, Kathy was appointed to the original committee that just never got off the ground. So I want her to pursue that as well. So we're very happy to have Kathy on board. We're bringing on, once again, I want to bring on the best and the brightest of my staff, and Kathy Hubley is one of them.
You and I spoke about, as we near the end of the program, to run a segment that we'd like to repeat in subsequent programs, and that's something called, we are going to call Around the County. I was thinking we should have something like the graphic that Late Night with David Letterman had for the top 10. So
I agree.
We'll have to work on that.
We'll have to work on that. Get Kaleri on that one.
There you go. Did you hear that, Director? So we are going to start in Dedham, and there will be an image that will pop on the screen, and you will be able to see that as well. But Dedham, Pack the Pantry, it was a 5K.
5K road race. I love participating in 5K road races. I don't particularly run, only because, as people may have remembered from years and years ago, I am the recipient of both of my hips have been replaced, so I have artificial hips. So running is not something that I can do. I love bicycling, of course, but I love participating in road races, particularly serving up the waters and getting our brand out there and talking to people about the Sheriff's Office. So these are great community activities that we get to do, and we had our staff out in Dedham there, and I think we have 4 or 5 others that are coming up over the course of the next few weeks. So that's one of the stops that we made right out in the town of Dedham.
Let's visit Wellesley for the Veterans Parade.
So Wellesley is where I actually participated myself. I did walk the parade, which was great. Normally, if those have seen me in parades, I'm usually riding a float and providing some entertainment to the folks, but this was a tribute to the Veterans Parade, and we invited our new academy that's finishing there in week 5 of 10 weeks. So our academy staff, our academy recruits showed up, and we had a couple of our vehicles, our motorcycles, and I was there. There's a picture of me with my 2 officers who are our motorcycle officers. Great day to celebrate veterans in Wellesley. It was a well-run parade. The weather cooperated, and it was a time to honor the veterans. And I'm looking forward to that. I guess that's an annual. This is the 53rd. I had never heard about it before. Oddly enough, I've been in politics in Norfolk County for over 20 years, and that was the first time I heard of the Wellesley Parade. So we'll be back doing that one again.
Ribbon cutting for a fire station in Weymouth.
Yeah, District 2, I believe it is. District 2 down in Weymouth. It's a station that was shut down years ago. But with population growth and the need of first responders and firefighters, are blessings to have in our community. I joined with Town Councilor Freddie Happel, along with Mayor Headland and a bunch of the other town councilors as well, and with our chief down in Weymouth to celebrate the reopening of District 2. And it's a really exciting thing for Weymouth, because South Weymouth specifically has had exorbitant growth over the course of time. And as we joked the other day, they've needed to have Quincy come over quite a bit into Weymouth because they didn't have this station open. So now it's going to be helpful because they don't have to deploy their other resources to that part of Weymouth. So congratulations to Weymouth and all they're doing to pursue public safety in their community.
Relatively quickly, a visit to the Council on Aging in Needham.
Yeah, we're making the rounds to all our councils on aging. It's great being post-pandemic. So many senior programs that we're putting forth out there. With our Are You OK program, our Yellow Dot, our Yes program. We're really pursuing excellence when it comes to our senior programming and making sure that our seniors are safe in Norfolk County. So we're looking forward to going back out. Needham was one of many stops we've been on, and we're going to be pursuing that over the next few months.
Medfield for Medfield Day.
All these towns have these days, which are great. Medfield Day was another fantastic experience. There's vendors, there's people coming out. You set up your booth. We really are actively trying to recruit for both our security and our non-security personnel. So we want to make sure that there's opportunities out there for people to come on board with our team. But also we want to spread the message on the different programs we have to offer to the communities. And Medfield is one of our great towns in Norfolk County, and I think we're hitting several other those town days that are coming up. I think Norwood Day was just recently as well. So we'll get there. And I walked the Quincy Food Truck Festival the other day, which was great, and great to see all new faces here in the city of Quincy. Really different vibe coming downtown.
And Norwood, it was the deputy sheriff that was there presenting the Are You OK program.
Yeah, Cheryl Bambury, who is our deputy sheriff in charge of she's involved deeply with our seniors program. She does a great job with our Are You OK program, which checks in with hundreds of seniors every day to make sure they're okay. And in the event that there is a problem, that they don't respond to that phone call that we put out every day, Cheryl make sure we initiate those first responder calls to make sure that senior is taken care of. And we've had 4 saves already this year.
You had mentioned the food truck. Congratulations, by the way. That's any life that is saved is a win. We're coming back to Quincy to talk about, you had mentioned the Food Truck Festival. Talk about the autism seatbelt covers.
So we autism is something that I've been deeply involved with for a number of years. Certainly in my prior life as Register of Probate, I worked with families who have kids transitioning from childhood to adulthood and working through guardianship and health care issues on that front. So I've taken that into the sheriff's office with me, and we have these seat covers that are available for anybody to put on their seatbelt, and it's basically to alert first responders in the event that there is a medical emergency or a crash, that the individual who has that seatbelt on does have autism and may resist or may become violent in some capacity because of their condition. So we just want to alert the first responders, and it helps them a lot because it just raises awareness. The families are very appreciative of it. We were down in Randolph a couple of months ago giving them out down there to the Higashi School, and we got to get those out there a little bit more. It's amazing how much autism is prevalent throughout the community, so we want to make sure that every family that wants one of those seatbelt covers gets one.
Very good. We are at the end of the program. I want to thank you for joining me today, and again, joining me. Your message is going out throughout the county, so thank you again, Sheriff.
Very much appreciated.
And thank you at home for watching. Please continue to watch local programming on Local Access TV for more information like this.